It's a case that baffled investigators and worried local residents.
The only thing she was thinking about was getting to her child.
I better tell her to keep her mouth shut, is what she told me.
My mom called me crying so hard, she couldn't even hardly speak.
Are they telling the truth?
We knew they'd done evil things. We were going to find evidence somewhere in their house.
That is a monster.
Burning every day for eternity.
Decades later, we're finally getting the full story.
Our family, we would go camping every summer. We'd sit around the campfire and talk and tell stories.
All the kids would gather around and Grandma Martha would be sitting there over the fire, you know, and telling us about when she was a kid.
She said that one time she had a boyfriend, he got caught sneaking out of her window. And that was the last time she ever seen or heard from him.
Heard stories about a man who was found hanging in the tree.
To think, could it be true? Are they really murderers? And we didn't ever really know for sure.
And we're from rural Oklahoma. Our particular area is called Green Country. Well, the atmosphere in our neck of the woods is super old buildings, creaking floorboards. Everything is just very country feeling.
You have a number of small towns scattered around. It's retained that flavor for quite some time.
Small amount of people who live in these communities, but people who have known each other for years on end.
You know, our whole lives we've heard about all the evil, crazy things that my dad's family had been involved in. Ida is my great-grandma. We call her Granny. She was always Granny. And her children, Debbie, Beverly, Grover. Granny's a scary lady. She's operating this bootlegging situation. She's the boss. And Beverly was there as well. Their criminal activity. Even though they had never done anything to us, we still had that thought in the back of our mind, like, is this real? Are we gonna be next? Chad is Beverly's son, my dad's cousin. They grew up together.
He falls in love with a coworker, Wendy. What can go wrong from there, right?
Wendy was literally the most popular girl in school. She had tons of friends. She was very bright, very funny, very smart.
She already has a daughter.
My focus was Cynthia. We've got this amazing relationship with her. She's like my daughter. Cynthia's thriving. She was about a year and a half old with a lot of love, affection. She couldn't have been more thrilled.
Chad married Wendy and they had Jonathan.
Unfortunately for Wendy, what follows is sickness, bad health, and a divorce.
She's in a coma with this MS, and she's in the hospital for some time.
Her husband was able to get custody of their son because of her health issues.
Chad has this new baby that his mother, Beverly's, taking care of. Chad never actually had Jonathan. Beverly had Jonathan. And Granny, Ida took care of Jonathan. Eventually, Wendy gets better, is able to get out of the hospital.
Like any mother, Wendy wanted custody back or to have visitation. And initially, things were okay. But as this story goes, the ex-husband and his family make this difficult for her to see her son.
When we were in Texas, Ida Pruitt showed up out of the blue one day with Jonathan. She had this little trailer, this truck that had a camper on the back of it, and they were traveling with that. I don't know that they're necessarily running from the law, but, you know, the court system So I told my husband, I don't care if she spends the night, but she has to leave. I mean, she cannot live with us. She cannot stay here. I knew it was a custody battle, and I wasn't going to be involved in any crime or anything that they conjure up. I'm not going to be involved in it.
Wendy meets and marries someone else, has a great life with him.
When Leon came into the picture initially, he met Wendy at the hospital and he was helping out with her rehab. They fell in love.
You go into a marriage thinking that this is the end and the beginning, and it's going to be the start of a wonderful life, creation of a family. And in this case, I think that's exactly what they thought.
I liked playing with my cousin Jonathan when we were little. He's a little bit older than me. We had an experience one time where Jonathan and I were playing out in the backyard, and there was a house where my grandma's house had sit before, and it had burnt down back in the olden days sometime. So when you dug in the backyard in the dirt, you could find all these little pieces of glass, and he made this comment that, hey, we shouldn't be digging out here. And I was like, oh, why? He's like, you might... There was a house where my grandma's house had sit before, and it had burnt down. My cousin Jonathan and I were playing out in the backyard when we were little. He made this comment that, hey, we shouldn't be digging out here. And I was like, oh, why? He's like, you might find my sister and my mom out here.
Wendy is wanting to continue this relationship with her son and have at least a decent relationship with her now ex-husband. At some point, the family calls Wendy and they say, you can come see Jonathan. And this is out of the blue.
Beverly and Ida show up, and Wendy and Lisa, Leon's sister, and Cynthia were waiting to get in the car, and Leon was outside as well. And she goes, well, I only agreed that we're only taking Wendy to see Jonathan. And Leon supposedly said, Cynthia wants to go see her baby brother, and I don't want Wendy to be alone because of her health condition. She struggles to walk and talk and eat. I want Lisa to go. So they all load up in the car. Wendy called my mother to let her know that she had arrived safely. Everything is going great. When they left, Wendy stopped at a convenience store and called my mom again. Wendy was like, yeah, Mama, we're on our way home. Cynthia was wanting some snacks, so we stopped and Beverly got her a bag of chips and some soda. We'll be home within 45 minutes or whatever. I love you. We'll see you soon.
And this is where things take a turn.
Wendy Camp, her 6-year-old daughter Cynthia, and Wendy's sister-in-law Lisa Kruger disappeared after being dropped off at a Walmart in Chandler.
According to Ida Pruitt's statement, she told Beverly to take her home. She stated that she dropped off Wendy, Lisa, and Cynthia at the Walmart in Chandler.
All you have is a statement. All you have is someone's story. And in smaller towns, that's what you have to rely on. Something is eerily wrong here.
People wind up on my case books for all kinds of reasons. There are people who get lost. Not all of them are homicides.
I can't imagine the minutes and the hours going by. She's got to have a certain medication to be healthy, to be okay, to function, especially having her 6-year-old child with her.
It's the not knowing that really affects the families. And when you can find someone bring them home, so to speak. It means so much.
As the years go on, the family is so broken.
If you have a lead, no matter how insignificant it is, why was the family not notified? Even if it turned out to be false, you didn't find anything, but you're supposed to give us hope. You're supposed to keep us from feeling that there's no hope and feeling dejected and hopeless.
The family is relying on someone to come forward. The family is relying on someone to say something.
When I was 15 years old, I was like, I'm gonna solve these murders one day, even if I have to go out there myself. So I got this bright idea. I'm gonna call the OSBI. And I called them. I explained who I was. I'm Ida's great-granddaughter, Beverly's grandniece, and they're like, well, you were a child, so you don't know anything, and they just totally ignore me. My cousin Ashley was there with me, and we were sitting in my parents' bedroom. They weren't home, and we was doing some prime investigative work. So we wanted to piece it all together, because if you really did do all these terrible, evil things, you deserve to be punished for these terrible, evil things. We knew they'd done evil things. We were gonna find evidence somewhere in their house. They went to bingo. We looked in every single nook and cranny in the house for a journal, something that would say anything about maybe what had happened. Jonathan had a computer and it had the internet. And I said, hey, you remember that time when you said your mom and sister was buried in my grandma's backyard? He's like, yeah. We don't talk about that here. I was like, we're gonna find the internet sources. It's on the internet, everything's on the internet. So we get on the computer, and he was so worried that we would find something. He literally stood at his bedroom door. He was basically keeping watch. And he would be like, y'all gotta stop, you gotta stop looking. I'm just trying to find something. We never could. And he said, I looked one time, but it's all blocked on there.
My Uncle Grover loved to cook, and he opened up a barbecue business. When I worked at Grover's restaurant, the OSBI was coming to the restaurant to visit him. And he sent me home early. He walked me out to the car, and he said, you know, I don't know why they always have to tell me everything they do. He said, everything they do, they think they have to tell me.
My cousin Angie, which is Grover's daughter, came to work one day because we worked together at the same place, and she's like, the cops are questioning my dad. So her and I spent the afternoon talking. We know somebody knows something. We hope that he will tell before he dies. We hoped that Granny Ida would tell something before she died. She, as far as we know, never said anything. My cousin Angie suspected that my Uncle Grover was sick at that time, and we had ended our conversation with, you know, if he's sick, maybe he'll tell the truth.
Three people vanished. Now, 2 decades later, what could be a big break in the case.
I was contacted by law enforcement and told that they had a potential case. So I went on to Google Earth, and as I often do in these cases, and go back in time on some of their earlier photographs. You can see that there's a little dark rectangular area here. After looking at that, I was at the scene, and I'm actually using a metal probe to probe into the ground here. I'm detecting the disturbance. There are objects that are buried there.
They found him, you know. We think they found him because this is what we're hearing in town. It was before anybody knew anything. The whole town knew everything.
We can see very clearly the outline of the original excavation. We get down a little bit lower, and you can see there's the tire more fully exposed. You can see the cinder block and some other trash. So we continued down through all of this, and there was also quite a bit of household trash that contains a lot of dates, a lot of use by dates. or expiration dates, those kinds of things. Here, what you see is a beverage bottle label, and if you look right down here, you can see there is a date of 5/29/92. That's actually the date that the 3 women disappeared. And then all of a sudden we encounter a shoe, a child's size shoe.
Back in 1992, the trio Wendy Camp, her daughter Cynthia Brito, and sister-in-law Lisa Krieger was supposedly dropped off at the Chandler Walmart by their mother-in-law, but were never seen again. Investigators found 3 bodies.
I was there the day they unveiled the dig site, and it literally made me sick. It made me sick.
Cases with kids, or anybody will tell you, are always the worst. And you think about what she went through.
We're talking about the innocence of a 6-year-old child. A 6-year-old child.
I called Beverly on the phone and just basically let her know that I was there. I was there that day, and how sick it made me to believe that they could do something like that. Beverly said that it takes a monster to do something like that, and that she was not a monster. She was not a monster.
After the discovery, Grover Pruitt was arrested.
Authorities tell us that the bodies were found on a piece of land that was once owned by Pruitt, and they're confident in this arrest.
At first, he was arrested for murder. We went to court one day. I told Beverly, I said, you know he did not kill those people. You know that. I said, you are the murderer. My husband got scared, and he told me I should not have done that, and that if they were to ever come out to our house, not to come to the door, just get the gun, because they're not there to visit.
For 21 years, state investigators followed the case.
We were able to get Grover Pruitt to come out and talk. Grover Pruitt is Beverly Noe's brother. He gave us information leading us to the bodies.
In his heart, he knew he needed to do the right thing.
If a family member decides to speak up, you are at risk at any time. It's up to that person to decide, is the risk worth it?
Well, you know, his mom was a murderer. His sisters were involved in murdering people. If they were capable of murdering a 6-year-old child, you are willing to get rid of your own family.
State investigators arrested this woman, Beverly Noe, this morning and booked her into the Creek County Jail. She's accused of murder in the deaths of Wendy Camp, her daughter Cynthia Brito, and sister-in-law Lisa Krieger.
We have statements, her saying she was going to kill Wendy if she took custody of Jonathan Noe.
I think that she got Jonathan when he was a baby and fell in love with him and didn't want to give him back.
When people talk about closure, I don't know that there is such a thing. They get knowledge, and that knowledge helps them to deal with the loss a little bit better, and maybe it helps them move forward a little bit.
As for the family tomorrow, first they'll meet at a grave site in Guthrie and then have the memorial here at this church at 2 p.m.
Grover's charges were dropped.
I think ultimately they decided not to charge him because he was going to die, and he died very shortly after that. Bruce, my cousin, he's the son of Grover. He couldn't reopen his restaurant and stuff because his restaurant was called Grover's Barbecue. They're not bad people, and they didn't deserve the repercussions that they got from that, but it's just kind of how it is.
Creek County says Beverly was sentenced to 15 years in prison.
I was kind of disappointed when she just pled guilty, and then even further disappointed when she got out of prison after just a few years.
We get a phone call and we were confused because it says Beverly No is no longer in the state of Oklahoma Department of Justice. She has been released and waived of even her probation. Why? How?
5 years for a triple homicide, including a young child. That doesn't seem right to me.
But I also know that karma got her. Karma got my granny. She might have pled guilty, but she didn't get real justice. I think her justice was that she literally has lived the last several years of her life as an invalid, and she eventually died, and she didn't have a pleasant death, and that's justice enough for me.
My heart goes out to Jonathan because he is also a victim. The people that he loved, the people that he was raised by, took the life of his mother and his sister. You know, Oklahoma is part of the Bible Belt. People here in this state ask themselves, how could someone do that?
Our dad taught us a lot of things out here. You don't plant trees so you can sit in the shade. You plant trees so your children can sit in the shade.
The whole lot of us have kind of made this unspoken pact. We've all taken rules that are putting positivity into the world, and, you know, we're breaking this cycle.